In 1974, in Harlow, Texas, which is just outside of Austin, there was a blood-soaked massacre when Sally and her friends were traveling along the back roads, and they went to a strange house in the middle of nowhere where Leatherface and his family did reside. And a bunch of bloodshed happened at night, and Sally was the only one that escaped all the carnage, but she was fried, while Leatherface says, "Dang my luck," as he just swung the chainsaw and said, "Holy fuck, how did they make more movies after that iconic cult classic?" But somewhere nearly 50 years after the fact, actually just 48, which is close to 50, let's just go with this old fact. We have a new one, a Netflix original, where Dante and Melody and Co. want to revive Harlow, Texas, with some business offers and ventures, while Leatherface is living with his mom, just ignoring all the other sequels, prequels. We just retcon the whole fucking thing, which was probably smart. But then we have this movie that barely lasts 80 minutes, even with end credits that seem to go on forever. But how is this movie? Well, there is a bunch of characters that are just there to get hacked up by Leatherface after his mom bites the dust and he says, "Oh fuck, I'm going to hack all these stupid morons to some pieces because that's all I cannot do because I'm Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre," which is a Netflix original directed by David Blue Garcia, who directed Tejano, written by Chris Thomas Devlin in his feature film debut. And by Christ, can you tell? Am I too soon in the review to basically say this is one of the worst fucking horror movies that I've ever goddamn seen? I actually have to do this a little bit with a DVD set because I just have to hit myself in the head and think, was I dreaming? Did I really try to do about half the rendition of George Harrison's My Sweet Lord to try and pad out what was ultimately one of the lamest fucking horror movies I've seen? This movie had no right to exist. I thought Moonfall was really bad. That wasn't a horror movie. I thought that Marry Me was really goddamn bad. You can check out my reviews of those. This was abysmal. One of the worst goddamn horror sequels, prequels, requels, reimaginings, whatever the fuck. In a bit of a controversial opinion, I actually never cared for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know why? Because it just seemed more snuff film, it seemed like it could actually really happen. I admire the effort that was put in, and there is a certain gritty feel to it. And it does have some iconic moments. I mean, Leatherface is a horror icon. He is right up there with Michael Myers and a whole bunch of others. He is. And if we're going to just treat Jason and Freddy as these iconic characters despite the many lame movies they've been in, well, then we have to talk about the fact that Leatherface is right up there. The look, and there were some good kills. The part in the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre where he hit the guy in the head with the goddamn, meat mallet and drug him off. That was cool. Here's the thing. Nothing in this fucking movie is cool. Nothing. Everything that they could have done right, they immediately did wrong. One, they only made this movie, I think even once the end credits start, once the opening credits are done, I think the opening credits are a couple minutes, we then get maybe 72 minutes of a movie. I'm not even kidding. This is barely a movie. It's barely a concept. It's like Netflix just said, okay, let's take the Texas Chainsaw Massacre property. Let's just throw everything out that anybody knows about it. Let's try to retcon it like they did with Halloween 2018. Let's take Sally, by the way, who I can't remember if it was the second or the third movie. I think it was the second one. It was one of the sequels where she didn't want to return for that. The actress didn't. So they just said, yeah, she died. she died either in a sanitarium or something. I don't exactly remember what, but it's like, oh, she survived all this stuff only to go nuts. All right, I mean, it's not quite Roy Scheider's, Jaws, like in Jaws 3 or Jaws 4, where everybody got on the floor and did the dinosaur. Wait, that was just Michael Caine. And you can't help but say Michael Caine whenever you say Michael Caine. So yeah, Jaws of Revenge actually was better than this. There are a ton of horror movies that were better than this. So Sally is fine. They try to make her like a Jamie Lee Curtis like badass at one point in this, because instead of dying, she had tried hunting Leatherface for a while and then was like, oh, okay, I can't do anything. There is gonna be a spoiler section, by the way, but nothing in this movie is really worth hiding in the spoiler section. But I will do that out of, just being kind to people. But they do bring Sally back in one of the worst ways possible, and oh boy, do they do a whole bunch of bullshit with other characters here. So we have Melody, who is Sarah Yarkin. She was the curly hair girl in, or young woman, in Happy Death Day to You. And we have a bunch of actors that I swear I've seen in some other stuff. And, people that range from about the age of, like, I think 18 up to, like, 30. And I swear I've seen some of these people and stuff. And I can't recall. It seemed like they just picked a bunch of young people who were like, okay, hey, you could pass for out of high school, even though you're in high school. You could pass for college, even though you're almost 30, and you look like the girl, or you look like an older version of the woman that played the girl in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so let's just have you. Yeah, because the woman that played Sally, it actually wasn't her. Because her first IMDb credit, I apologize if I got that right, it was in 1980, which, since I said 1974, 6 years afterwards, that's kind of how calendars work. All right, how's this movie? I mean, I pretty much just spent about 7 minutes doing bad singing and everything and telling you this is absolute goddamn dog shit. Why is it goddamn dog shit? One, it feels hacked to pieces. Ironic for a guy that has a goddamn chainsaw as his main weapon. His only weapon. Well, I mean, besides a meat cleaver and other stuff here. But so Leatherface is back for blood because a bunch of people are really stupid and bad at everything. Fuck. God, my sweet lord. Jeez. Back in Harlow, Texas, outside of... Okay, no, I can't even do that. I wasted all my goddamn singing right there, but just... So yeah, they're in Harlow, Texas. All right. There's this narrator, John Lorette, who talks about Leatherface and all this stuff, all these horrible massacres and everything, but this is on Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, whatever. On Unsolved Mysteries. They're trying to do, some stuff. They're trying to basically, make it like that. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're going to have a little bit of, subversion of expectations or whatever. And we're going to try to, wrap this thing around where everybody's aware of this stuff. And we're just going to ignore the sequels, which, again, probably smart. Let's ignore the 2003 remake, which wasn't the worst in the world. It just wasn't great because I had Jessica Biel in. And Jessica Biel's not very good at acting. But it turns out that this Sally actually became a ranger. This is all told in the very beginning, by the way. She didn't find her. How'd she not find her or whatever, Lila said, played by Esley Fisher. Who looks a lot... If you actually take a look at, any of the pictures that IMDb has up, and then you take a look at her hair, you'd be remiss if you thought it was a totally different actress. Because she has blonde hair, and then she has, the short, dark hair and stuff like that. It fit the character. What little character there was. But anyway, she never found her. Hard to find somebody when, you don't know what they look like because, wearing the mask, wearing the face made of flesh. So then, Dante, Melody, and Dante's wife, Ruth, and other characters they're the 4 main characters, and they don't really mean anything. They're going to Harlow, Texas, which... I don't even know, I don't know much about Texas, so I don't know where Austin actually is. I have heard that if you go to West Texas, you're going to see some really, really wacky, kind of inbred shit, or kind of backward shit, I guess really is what I could say. This is according to a couple of people I know that live more in, East Texas. But the sheriff says, some of us grew up here, so please be respectful of our town. And then Melody... says, it's like our grandmother, grew up here. Oh, your grandmother grew up here. That might come back into play. No, doesn't. You would have thought maybe they might have actually gone some kind of route or whatever where some girls might have been related to Leatherface or something. Nope, they didn't even do that. I mean, it would have been lame regardless because nothing could have saved this fucking movie. Within the first few minutes, I'm like, we are in trouble. And I thought, okay, setup, you know what, the setup's lame, whatever. Maybe we could have some cool stuff and whatever, and we could have some people getting killed, and maybe that could save the movie. And nope, it didn't do that. They're a good idea. Build up the town. Rebuild the town and do all this stuff. Get these business ventures in this town that literally is about 8 buildings. Let's get all this stuff going. Let's get these people to bid on this stuff. These people that have all this money, but they have no intelligence based on what they do once all this shit happened. They talk to a woman named Jenny, a.k.a. Virginia, who's this old woman on a ventilator or on an oxygen mask. And things end up going south, and it turns out she's the mother of Leatherface. And oh no, mother's dead, and Leatherface basically goes nuts. And that's pretty much the movie right there. Leatherface goes nuts on a bunch of dumb people, and Leatherface himself isn't very smart, but somehow is the smartest character out of anybody in this movie. And I'm baffled for like any explanation as to how this got made. Besides name value, I am baffled. Everything is inept. Like, there's this, the set is, I guess, fine, and this seems just like more of a concept. It seems like, let's take Texas Chainsaw Massacre, stretch it out a little bit so it's not just anthology size, but let's not really put anything to it. Let's just have a bunch of people get hacked. Let's have Leatherface do some stuff. Let's do various forms of fan service in bad ways, and let's have dumb characters get killed. More dumb characters do stupid shit just to advance the very meager plot that there is, and then that's basically what we have, and we have a movie. And then idiots like me will fucking watch it. Because even though I didn't care for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm sure I'll get hate for that in the comments, I recognize that that movie has, it has a quality to it you can appreciate, even though I never cared for it. This has no appreciable value. It feels dated, despite the fact it came out in 2022. Everything about it is cliche, terrible, and it just seems phoned in, which is ironic because there is this one point where there is this live video thing that's absolutely freaking lame and ridiculous. It's like they just didn't know what they were doing. How'd they have a phone signal out there in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere? But there's also the side character of Richter, who was a guy that was basically fixing up all these goddamn buildings, and he must have very good time management skills, considering that he didn't have, a big enough shop to do it. He just fixed up some of these buildings as best he could. And then they talk to Virginia, and it turns out that Virginia's in the only goddamn house that's actually an orphanage, where she was taking care of people, including the one boy, Leatherface. So Leatherface just did all the things he did in 1974 and went to live in an orphanage. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense. Like, did we just ignore, anything that happened in 1974? Besides bringing Sally back. Like, this movie kept trying to wrap shit up and trying to, come up with a non-convoluted way to do things, and it just got worse and worse and worse to the point where you didn't care. You didn't care if these girls actually had a grandma that grew up there. You didn't care why they were fighting. You didn't care why Leatherface was doing the stuff. You didn't care that people were getting hacked and getting beaten up and everything and destroyed. That's pretty much it. Let's get into spoilers, why don't we? Because this movie is really good. It also ends, they try to end it in a way that, we're paying homage to the 1974 version, and it also seems to possibly hint that we might get a sequel, because that's what we need to fucking see. Why do we need to fucking see that? Why do we need to see this? Why do we need to see any of the sequels? Oh wait, the first one made money, and it was a cult classic. Why do we need to see this? I don't fucking know. Spoilers! So, yeah, Virginia dies, and then Leatherface goes nuts and everything. But here's the twist. There is no twist. There is literally no twist. There is nothing. There is no goddamn twist at all. Melody and Lila are basically at odds all the goddamn time. It turns out that Lila was in a school shooting, which factors into why she's a little bit nervous and about violence and a little bit apprehensive. I would be too if I survived that. And the scene with Virginia is absolutely hilarious. Virginia, whatever. They managed to get cops involved to get her out, but she ends up dying because she gets all nervous, and basically because she's not in the most healthy state. She dies, and Leatherface goes with her. Except she's not actually quite dead yet because they have to get outside of town, so Dante's wife, Ruth, very pretty blonde, by the way, goes with them, and then she dies in this police van, and Leatherface goes nuts, breaks the cop's arm, which he ends up using that arm to shoot the cop in the front seat, and Ruth then ends up getting trapped because they run into a goddamn cornfield or sunflower field or some kind of field. I would have welcomed Children of the Corn. I fucking hated Children of the Corn. Every single one of them. Every single Children of the Corn, every single movie, didn't matter. All lame. But Ruth is trapped there, yet somehow could had a texting signal and was able to send a message like, oh no, the old lady died. So everybody's freaking out about this. But then this bus arrives with all these business people, and they decide after doing this business thing and whatever, let's have a party. Leatherface, by the way, is miles outside of town. Miles outside of town. I mean, I don't know where the hell the first town was. I don't care. I don't care about geography. This movie sure doesn't even seem like it could spell geography if it was given help. Would fail Wheel of Fortune if you spotted everything except the last letter. And I'm not even talking the Y. I'm just talking one of the letters. It would have somehow come up with any letter of the alphabet except what the actual answer was. Because that's how inept and stupid this motherfucking movie is. So Leatherface killed everybody. Knifes Ruth and cuts off his mother's face and wears that. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. But then, miles outside of town, everybody's just doing this stuff. Everybody made these business deals off camera. Maybe they offered somebody $1 million. Can we close the deal today? Thanks, we appreciate your business. I gave him a 50% discount. Wait, that's Rod from Birdemic. I'm sorry. And Birdemic, actually, I think had better acting than this. Everybody was trying to channel people from the first one badly. Very badly. So Leatherface gets back to town. Seemingly, he had his running shoes on, or time has no meaning, and Harlow is just trapped in a goddamn vacuum, which actually would explain a lot, like the lack of oxygen reaching anyone's brains to say, hey, maybe we should leave instead of dealing with this guy. But no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's just go there. Everybody's barbecuing, everybody's doing all this stuff. Leatherface shows up. Jesus. Leatherface shows up and starts hacking people. Just starts hacking people. That's pretty much it. We get a brief thing of Sally, like, finding out about Leatherface being back and this stuff. And oh my god, what the hell are we going to do? So, Melody and Dante explore the house where the deed was because Virginia insisted that the deed was actually, proved it was her house. But they couldn't find the deed on their end, so they tried to search her house. And then Dante basically shows up and cleavers him. And cleavers him to this point where it's like his mouth is like this and everything. It's like he's got a weird hair lip, except his lip is actually just split all like that. Like he had a bad shaving accident. Should have used Manscaped. Not sponsored. And Melody sees this and then sees how upset Leatherface is because his mom died. And then just suddenly a thunderstorm hits. From my understanding, flash thunderstorms do hit Texas pretty often. So there's a party on the bus star. It's like if Rock the Party by P.O.D. actually, like that brief thing on the bus, was a movie mixed with Jeepers Creepers 2, but with dumber characters. So a special note, I hate Jeepers Creepers 2, so for me to say that is something. Dante somehow shows up fine, just enough to say basically here's what's going on, and then he dies. So everybody suddenly is just doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And then Leatherface is trying to trap Melody. He's jamming his thing through. He's jamming his thing through the wood. No, he's jamming his chainsaw through the goddamn floorboards and manages to hit the sewage pipe, and it all dumps over her. Gross! Oh no! And her sister saves her, because Lila and Melody are brother and sister. Are sister and sister. Sister. Never have I seen such dumbass sister. Okay. Calm down. Still got a little bit to go. They're on the bus, and then the bus driver gets killed because the bus driver decides to stop. Instead of just doing the smart thing on this 1950s bus. Seriously, why was there a bus from the 1950s? That's all that Harlow could get? Is that all the budget could afford? Probably, given the fact, that it looked really goddamn cheap. Bus driver gets hacked to pieces. Well, his head gets hacked off. And then instead of doing the smart thing and maybe trying to get the keys and drive away, nope, can't do that. Let's just panic like idiots on the bus. Let's everybody take a video on their phone, I say as I'm doing a video review on my phone, and let's film Leatherface. And then he starts hacking everybody, and it's a live feed, and he's doing all this and hacking off these limbs, and this is supposed to be gory and funny and cool and everything, and it's lame. It's really fucking lame. Stupid. Everybody's losing limbs. Everybody's losing you lose your limb, you lose your life. And it's one more time, and they're going to make this mine. Terrible, terrible rendition of Kofi's SOS theme. Everybody gets dead. Everybody gets dead. Everybody. I mean, if only everybody fucking... That's mean because everybody probably worked hard on this movie, but it's just really goddamn lame. So, Lila's just back. Lila is trying to kill Leatherface because Melody is like, Melody's hurt and stuff like that. All this stuff's going on. Then Melody's not hurt and Lila's hurt. And all this lame shit's going on. Sally shows up, locks them in her car, and says, he wants you, so I'm going to go kill him. That doesn't make sense. You stupid bitch. So anyway, you don't remember me. Say my name. Say you remember my friends. You don't remember me. And Leatherface is just like, don't talk, bitch. And he goes off. I don't care about you. Okay. And then she's going to try to save them. She tosses the keys to them, something she should have done before after she manages to shoot Leatherface and get him away. And then tosses the keys and says, get out of here. So instead of driving away instantly, what do? They wait there like fucking morons and say, I wonder what we can do. I wonder what we can... Maybe we can just wait here and see how this plays out. That always works out well in these movies. And then Sally ends up, trying to shoot him. He chainsaws away the bullets. Just and then she can't shoot him. He chainsaws her through the goddamn gut. I want you to note that. And throws her into a trash pile that's just over there. I don't know where the trash came from. I don't care. I don't know how many people were living in Harlow. I don't care. I don't care if Harlow's real. I don't care if Harlow burned to the goddamn ground. I actually do care. I hope it didn't. But just whatever. And that's it. The worst hero of all time. That's actually what they did. They said, hey, we're going to bring back this character, make her a badass, and then she's going to get killed. Just in the dumbest way possible. But then Melody and Lila get in the car, and then they run. Well, they race, and he throws a chainsaw at the windshield. It cracks it enough, but if you could actually look through and see just fine. But nope, they can't. They crash right in there. Convenient plot device. They crash into the garage. And Melody's trapped. Lila's there. We got about 20 minutes left of the movie, by the way, folks. This movie that was 72, 75 minutes, maybe, until the end credits, and it just was agonizing. Sally ends up somehow being alive and shooting him a couple times. And then says, if you run, he'll haunt you forever. And she dies. Melody's still pinned down. This is taking forever. I say as I'm, just ranting endlessly about one of the worst horror movies I've ever fucking seen that has a budget to it. Because there's plenty of schlock that had like $200-$300 to it and was just filmed by a bunch of friends. You can appreciate that. You can appreciate this. So, because some of these buildings are all desolate or whatever, I guess Richter didn't have enough of a chance to fix that stuff. Leatherface outsmarts her by leaving his chainsaw running long enough, and then tackles her, and they end up in this just randomly spawning pool of water. And they're down there for a bit. And okay, movie over. All right, Melody's pinned down, whatever, she's going to bleed out. Oh no, Lila gets back up. Oh, she gets back up. And then Leatherface is like does this. And then Lila grabs the gun. Melody actually tries to grab him in Cupid's chokehold. God. So they try to reenact the T2 thing, where they shoot the T1000. Shotgun. Oh no, we're out of bullets, and he won't fall in. And he's about to get the chainsaw, And then Melody actually gets his chainsaw, uppercuts him with the chainsaw. Doesn't uppercut him and stab him, just uppercuts him. That's enough to kill Leatherface, isn't it? Oh, it's totally enough to kill Leatherface. So they're by the water, and he falls in the water, and they're all hugging, and then they get in the car, and then one of the dumbest endings I've ever fucking seen happens. So they're there, they get, instead of driving away, because it's a fancy car and everything's got autopilot, instead of driving away and doing that, they decide, hey, let me put the roof down. Okay, let me put the roof down. Why are we putting the roof down? We just got out of this, we're going to get out of this town with a vicious killer. Maybe we should worry about that in a bit. So then Melody gets, Leatherface somehow is still alive, breaks through the driver's or the passenger side of the best friend's ride and tries to slice her head off. Oh wait, does slice her head off. And Lila is there in the sunroof area because the thing's on autopilot, so it's driving just fine. It recognizes the roads. I guess AI works just fine there, GPS, whatever the fuck it is. And she's all screaming and everything, just like the end of the first one. Because that's what we need. We need to have something like that. And then credits scene. We had the end credits that take us to about just 80 minutes. And then the last couple, they had where Leatherface was walking back. He must have great walking shoes. He must, because his feet don't get tired at all. He manages to get back to the old house, so I guess he's going to fix it up and maybe, I don't know, have a whole goddamn inbred family. I don't care. Fuck this movie. Fuck the fact that it was made. Fuck Netflix for making it. I'm still going to have my Netflix account, but my fucking goodness. Goddamn F. If this is not the worst thing I see this year, I'm in trouble. And I would have not watched this in theaters, by the way. And had this been in theaters, I think people would have been demanding their money back. This is just catastrophically bad. Absolutely horrible. Fuck this movie. Fuck everything about it. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rutland. I'll see you soon.